Happy to be joined by one of the newest members on the UFC roster, a fighter I've had the opportunity to interview a number of times, and now he's on the UFC roster. Of course, I'm talking to Austin Bashi. Big win last week on Dana White's Contender Series. Austin, how you doing, man? Must be feeling pretty good.
Yep, I'm doing real well. Came back to town on like Friday night, and my family threw me a little party yesterday. It's been going good.
I'd say so. It's weird. You're still, very young as far as your age, but I know you've been fighting for a while. Like I mentioned, it's been about a week since you got the contract. Do you feel like a UFC fighter now, or is it still something you're like you're still soaking it all in?
Yeah, I'm kind of still soaking it all in. I don't think it's hit me just yet.
One thing I wanted to mention, you were initially supposed to fight Tommy McMillan, and after our interview we did last time, I don't know what it is about his fans, but they were talking a lot of smack and, all types of different stuff. Is that a fight you do want down the line? Because it seemed like, I don't know, his fans or something, they wanted to see it. I just kept getting, comment after comment on our interview, and you were pretty respectful to him in the interview too, by the way.
Yeah, that's just kind of how the fight game is. I would say like 75% of the MMA community is like that. Personally, I'm not like that, but honestly, he's a nobody to me. He really is a nobody to me. He's not even on my mind. He had this opportunity and he decided to pull out 3 days before because he said he's injured, which I don't believe at all, because he posted a video of him saying camp went well, and then 3 days before he pulled out. So he's literally a no one to me, and I could care less about him.
Maybe down the line in the UFC, we'll see if that ends up happening. And on that note, was there much of an adjustment going from Tommy McMillan to Ramos, your new opponent?
It was so short notice that my coaches kind of gathered up a game plan for me, and kind of what I did was the game plan. I didn't know too much, obviously, going into it with it being like a couple day notice, but I guess he was from Sean O'Malley's camp as well, so that was another thing.
Okay, well, there we go. Did you see, I don't know if you saw this before heading into the fight. I don't know if you're still checking social media leading up to the fight. Did you see Jamal Hill give you a shout out before the fight? Because he obviously is from Michigan as well. And I thought that was pretty cool seeing that.
Yeah, actually, I seen that after the fight. People were telling me. I didn't know before just because I wasn't really on my phone like that. But afterwards,
Okay.
A lot of people were telling me. And yeah, I do appreciate that from him.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool to see that. I didn't know if you saw that. Maybe that gave you a little boost going in, hearing from the former champ, but I thought that was awesome. I always feel like for whatever reason in Michigan, I know there's different gyms and people train at different places, but I feel like a lot of the Michigan guys, they all have each other's back. Do you still feel that way? Like, starting with like a Cody Stamen to like Jamal, like it seems like there's a lot of support there for all the fellow Michigan fighters.
Yeah, for sure. I do feel like that, especially not a lot of people from Michigan have made it to the UFC. So when someone does fight at a big stage, I feel like the whole community is behind them.
Let's talk about the fight itself. Other than maybe a first round finish, could that fight have gone any better? You went in there and you got the finish and you got the contract.
Yeah, man, it really went well. First round was chain wrestling a lot, mixing up my striking with my wrestling. He was hard to keep down, but coming into the second round, he got tired, and then I got the choke.
Yeah, no, it certainly worked out. Anything about him surprised you that maybe you weren't expecting? Again, you didn't have a lot of notice to prepare for him.
He was Mexican. I knew he was going to be tough. The Mexican blood, they're always tough. So I knew that going in.
I imagine you're pretty confident you had the contract, or any worries at all? You never know. Like, even though you got the finish, I know sometimes we've seen finishes and sometimes they don't get the contract, but how confident were you, after the fight that you were going to get the contract?
I was actually pretty confident that I was going to get the contract until Dana White started talking a little bit. Then he said he forgot what he said exactly. He said he was confused, and then kind of worried me a little bit, but then got it.
So how do you celebrate after that win? Again, you get the contract, fight's over. What did you get up to that night? I'm sure you got like a nice meal or something.
Yeah, I actually had about probably like 25 people from Michigan come out, and they actually all got into the Apex somehow.
Nice.
So yeah, all of us.
The Bashi Army made it.
Yep. We went to the Venetian and we just kind of ate and hung out.
And I mentioned the love from a lot of the Michigan fight fans and also the fighters as well. What's been the feedback like since the win? A lot of people, like you said, happy to see another Michigan fighter in the UFC.
Yeah, man, there's a big support crew. Obviously, everyone congratulated me, texted me, and it's been real nice.
Anyone surprise you that you weren't expecting to give you a shout out or reach out or anything like that? Other than Jamal, I guess that was one that was
like
probably.
You were saying, Jamal, I would say is one of the
The
Bigger
most
ones
notable ones.
that reach. Yep.
So you're in the UFC now. You're on the UFC roster. When do you want to have that next fight? I don't know why, but for some reason, I always feel like they put the Contender Series fighter, like the winners, they usually end up fighting the year after. But I imagine if you had it your way, you'd want to get one more in this year.
That's the goal. Either try to sneak one in before this year ends or super early in 2025. Yeah, I like to stay active.
Have you thought about the possibility of the UFC coming back to Michigan? They had that card in Detroit a couple of years ago. It was a great event. I was actually at that one. That's something you can start thinking about now. You fought at home before, but is that something that I'm sure is exciting you? The possibility of being able to fight in Michigan for the UFC.
Yeah, man, that would be actually real nice if UFC came to Detroit. I for sure know we would have so many people there. There's just in this like Detroit area, there's over like I think 300,000 Chaldeans, and I know each one of them are buying tickets, so it'd be real nice.
And it's a good arena. Little Caesars, the way they built it, that whole downtown area is really nice. So just
Yeah.
saying, if the UFC's, now that they're getting out of the Apex, it seems a little bit, hopefully we'll see some more cards in different cities. So we established when you want to fight next. Any opponents in mind, or is that just, you're just starting out, just leave that to the coaches and the management, see what the next move is?
Yeah, just leave it to them, leave it to the matchmakers, whoever they match me up with. That's who will fight.
Now that you're in the UFC, I just wanted to ask you about a couple fights that are coming up because this is you got to be studying the roster now that you're in there. But before I do that, I just want to quickly give a quick shout out to HKUSA. They always support Fight Bananas, and you can use the code Banana20 to get 20% off your order. They have gear, they have clothing, they have all types of cool stuff. So just want to give them a shout out. But big fight in the lightweight division coming up here end of this month. We've got Renato Moicano and Benoit Saint-Denis. I don't know if you're familiar with both of them, but they are fighting. Who do you see winning that main event in Paris on September 28th?
Oh, I got Renato Moicano. I actually like that fighter a lot, and I've watched him live once or twice before.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, it was 2 times I watched him live, and he's an exciting fighter. I got him winning that fight.
Alex Pereira and Khalil Roundtree, who's winning the light heavyweight title?
I got Alex Pereira, but Khalil Roundtree is super tough. I feel like a lot of people are doubting him, which it wouldn't surprise me if he lands a shot and knocks him out.
What about Aljamain Sterling and Movsar Ivoyev? How do you see that one going? It's a big one in the featherweight division.
That is big. I got Sterling. I feel like his wrestling and his grappling is going to get it done.
Two more quick ones. Robert Whitaker, Hamzat Chimaev. Who do you see winning that fight at middleweight? It's 5 rounds too.
Yeah. I got Hamza. He's one of my favorite fighters currently.
And then last one, Max Holloway, Ilya Topuria, who's taking the featherweight title in October.
I got Ilya winning that one, but I think it's going to be a war.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. That's coming up. So what do you got planned the rest of the week? Like, I know obviously you're training and all that stuff, but there was so much lead up to this fight. I'm sure like you had to, put everything, sort of all the eggs in one basket and probably neglect a lot of other things. You kind of get into like stuff you couldn't get to in camp, or what's this week looking like for you?
Yeah, for sure. This week is just going to be a lot of time spent with family and friends, and just probably going out to restaurants every night and just enjoying time with them.
Do you see yourself staying in this weight class, or do you see yourself potentially moving down at some point?
No, I'll be at this weight class for the rest of it because 135 was just super tough. My last 5 cuts were brutal cuts, and I don't even think my body could even make that if I wanted to anymore.
Yeah, and I think with how young you are, I mean, if it's tough now, it's only going to get tough later as you get older. So that certainly makes sense as well. And like, we've talked before, obviously, about your career and stuff, but like, which fighters, like, now you're going to be on cards with like some of these fighters that you've watched. Like, who have been some of your favorite fighters over the years? Some fighters that you enjoy watching and that you could potentially fight on the same card with.
Volkanovski is one of my favorites right now. That would be very cool to fight on the same card with him. And then lightweights like Chandler, Gaethje, Poirier. That would be awesome as well.
What do you think about Volk? Do you think he should get the winner of Topuria and Holloway? Because again, my argument with him is he had so many years of title defenses. I know there's people that say, oh, you should have to fight someone else. I disagree. I think if you've had years of title defenses, that should automatically get you an opportunity at the title. I don't mind him taking the time off because he had those back-to-back fights with Islam and Ilya, but I think he should get the winner. Where do you stand on that? Or do you think Volk should fight someone else? Or do you want to see him fight someone else?
I agree with you. I think he should get a rematch at the 145, or if obviously Max wins, then fight him again. But he's a legend and he's done it all in that division, so I do feel like he should be next in line for the title.
And kind of on that note, how do you figure out, like, this is a tough question. I was actually asked this in my live chat today. The GOAT of featherweight, how do you determine that? Because obviously you've had Aldo had years of title defenses, looked great, eventually lost to Connor. Then you've got then you got Max, who beat Aldo a couple times and was the champ for a bit. And then you got Volk. I think it's debatable. I think you could make a case for Volk. I think you can make a case for all three. Where do you stand on the featherweight GOAT? Because it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, that is kind of tough. They did it all in the division, but personally for me, it's Volk. He just
Yeah.
was dominating for so long and would kind of make them look easy, some of them.
Yeah, completely agree. Hey, Austin, congrats again on the win. Excited for the debut whenever that ends up coming up. If there's anyone you'd like to thank before you get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, of course. Thank you to all my family and fans for supporting me throughout the years. They've been with me through these last since my amateur days. And also, you can find me on social media, just at Austin Bashi.